Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Knox Makers. My name is Isaac, and I am excited to host you tonight for our weekly show and share. As we do every week, we have a list of folks that have brought nifty projects to share with you, projects that are presumably both successful and not so much. And at the very beginning of our list tonight is Tracy, who has to show us an enamel pen.
I wanted to have a pin, like a enamel lapel pin, and of course I didn't want to buy it. I wanted to make one. So I thought, well, if we go to the laser, maybe I can etch a coin deep enough that I can paint it and it'll look cool. So this was the first test, which is this one is just painted with primer. You can see that there's a little bit of a groove in there. So then I was like, okay, well, this is a good start. I'm going to make a real one and paint it with primer, and then I'm going to paint it with enamel paint that we only have white and red in the arts and crafts, and I didn't want to buy something yet, so I tried a second try, and this is the one I painted with, I sprayed it with primer, and then I hand painted it. It doesn't look great. I think the paint was starting to dry and it got gummy, and then I got impatient and I was like, it was just like, it wasn't great. The areas were very small and thin. Even with the smallest brush, it was really hard to I tried to use a toothpick to guide it in. So I'm like, this is bad. I'm going to start over. So I started and made another one. This one I didn't prime. I just painted, and then afterward I sprayed it with an enamel clear coat. So I thought that this one turned out a lot better. You can see that there's a little bit of that pooling, and it's not, in the middle, it's not thick enough. You can see a little bit of the metal underneath, but I'm very happy with it. I'll try it again. And also, I don't think you can see it on the screen, but you can see that it burned through the back a little bit. It melted. Or the heat deformed it. Maybe not. I'll show you afterward if you're interested. But I'm going to put a pin back on it, and then I'll have a little pin. I'm excited to try more. You can make it on the laser. Any questions?
You said it's on a coin?
Not like a money coin, but like one of the coins we saw in the laser store.
Oh.
Yeah.
Coin blank.
Coin blank.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So the one that you did for me, I think you said like 600 or something, and then you got mad that I took it out sooner than I should have. He didn't really get mad. He said I should have kept going. It was my fault. He said I should have kept going. The one that I did, the second one that I did, I wasn't quite sure what I was doing, so I had to just kept restarting it, and I did for about an hour. So however many passes in an hour. But I think it turned out nice. Highly recommend.
That's very cool. I'm embarrassed to say that having taken the crossbow class, I have never yet thought of anything to do with it, and now I want to make pens. So I'm looking forward to your class about that. Next up, we've got Cole, who has brought a camping cleaver to show us.
Hello, everyone. This is my first show and share. I'm brand new. So, I like to do a lot of cooking when I'm camping, and I don't like carrying all of my knives. So, I wanted to have one that can do everything. How do I? So, it's big, it's thick. It's an old kick plate from a stamping press, and just rough shape. Basic handle, couple brass pins, and that was my first attempt at a good heat treat. And it holds up pretty good. I've done full chickens in a Dutch oven, fish. Does veggies pretty well, but as you can tell, I've sharpened it, beat it up, dropped it, forgot it in the water, but yeah, it does everything I need it to do, and it's probably never gonna break. So, yeah. It was just a big square chunk of metal, and so I just traced it and, torch cut, oxyacetylene. And it's kind of rough. I would like to get better on my surface finishing, but that'll be my next one.
You do steel, and so I'm also just curious about roughly your heat treat. It's okay if you don't remember.
I just back and forth with an oxy torch, and then I had a little tray of oil and did the edge on it. So, yeah.
Is it just high carbon steel? Is it stainless steel?
It's just high carbon. It was off of a conveyor, off of a stamping press.
Rust pretty quick?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Yes.
What is this about the knife? Do you think that you use that to butcher a whole chicken in the morning?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They're cheaper to buy whole. Yeah. No one else? All right. Cool.
Is it permissible to draft people into the Knox Makers camping trip? Is that a thing? Okay. Next up, we've got Tom, who has brought an insect.
Okay. Hello. Very nervous. This has got a kind of a story to it. I got many interests. I was planning on showing something non-electronic. I'm sorry. Can you hear me? And non-robotic, but this is not one of those nights. Is Rob here? Yeah. Randy, I guess Randy Hyde is his name. He's showed several things here. Months ago, he was giving away some Adafruit trinkets, which I'll show you. Very small micro. I don't know if you can I get it in a minute. It's pretty small. Anyway, so it's all Rob's fault. We were back in the electronics area, and Rob said, take one or two, or, so I did. Couldn't figure out what to do with it until, I guess it was after the last disastrous performance I had at Kill Switch. I came up with this idea. I bought this. This was the inspiration. It's a hex bug, and it's kind of cool. I think it's only got one motor, and let's see if battery's about dead. It's got these feelers here, so if it senses an object, it'll turn right. Looks like and it's also got a microphone, so if you clap, it will turn. So that was the inspiration. The trinket is based on an AT Tiny 85, which is, the keyword is tiny. It was obsolete when he gave it to me, and it's almost brain dead, just like me. This is what I came up with. I don't know if you can see it or not. So it's got 3 boards on it. And if I put my hand in front of this sensor, it'll just turn until it doesn't see a sensor, and then it goes straight. Sort of straight, sort of random. Anyway, you can the sensor I can blink I don't know if you can see it. The LED here blinks faster when it gets close together. So that's a time of flight sensor. Just literally measuring the time of light to the object and back, which is amazing. It'll detect an object about 200 millimeters away, which is about 8 inches, all the way down to about 5 millimeters, which just blows my mind. That's like picoseconds. Anyway, it's very difficult every step of the way mainly because of the AT Tiny. The trinket, it did not have hardware for the standard Arduino I2C, so it's a long story. I tried to use a bit banged bus. It's I2C bus that I found on the internet, and it didn't work, and it was all wrong. So then I tried to fix it. I got it to write data, but I could never get it to read, so I gave up on that. So then I found a library specifically for the trinket, but then the motor controller and the sensor, they had libraries for the standard I2C, so I had to reverse engineer a lot of stuff. The motor controller, it's called, the company's Motoron. It's sold by Pololu. I tried just a simple H-bridge at first, and that didn't work, so I was lucky to find this. So it's all I2C. It's a communication bus that talks to the motor controller and the writes and reads to the sensor. Do that every time. Anyway. Thank you. Let me see if I can. The motor controller was kind of nice because you could set acceleration, deceleration, the speed, all that kind of stuff. So I like that. Yeah, but the sensor was pretty involved. It took about 43 bytes of initialization data, which wasn't contiguous. It had to be sent out first, and then you could set other parameters. Anyway, the motor controller was frustrating because it would work up to 4.9 volts. I'm like, man, couldn't you get it up to 5 volt logic? But it didn't recommend it. So then the trinket that I was given ran on 5 volts. So I went ahead and purchased an obsolete 3.3 volt trinket. And so the whole system was on 3.3 volts. 2 batteries and 2 motors, one on each side. The legs, gears, struts, and body are all 3D printed, which that's another long story, but a lot of iterations. I mean, I've got lots of struts and gears that were not total failures. I just had to dial it in, you know. So I guess that's it. I just had I had 4 or 5 different breadboards with different, you know, I had level shifters, I had different power supplies. The 2 batteries, they're single cell, a LiPo 3.7 volt nominal in series, but I needed the bottom battery to run the motors directly. So and it drains that battery quicker than the other 2, but it had to switch it at the very bottom because if you don't power up at the same time, it errors. It errors a lot anyway, but it was very difficult. Yeah, but it seems to be working now, and I guess I don't know that I will do this again. That's all. Questions? Yeah. The batteries are in the side. I guess you got tape here, so I can charge them in the housing, but I usually just pull it out. There's one on each side.
What's the belly look like? Does the back?
It's just here's the gears, and that was. I just had to figure out how to make it work with that. The motors, they have about 3 stages of gear reduction in them, so it's about 120 RPM, and they're about 6 millimeters in diameter, pretty small. They're right here on this gear, one on each side, and that's another thing. I didn't show you this. I was trying to get figure out the legs. So, foolishly, I built this up to, I don't know if you can see it, to figure out, I mean, it looked like a missing strut there, and I thought, I'll put one in, and it didn't work. You can't work with that other strut. But it does go forward and backwards, so that answered some questions. Where was I going? Any more questions? I tried coin cells, and they burned up pretty quick. The motors are really not that powerful, but even this might run a couple hours, and that's about it. So, anything else? Okay.
Man, that is impressive and sufficiently realistic and insectile to make me a little uncomfortable. Next up, we've got Keith, who has brought one dice tower to rule them all.
The most minimal I think I've ever made so far this year anyways. But hello, I got into doing some kind of desktop role-playing games recently, so I figured I better make myself some slick kit for it. You just toss the dice in the top. It kind of contacts 3 different ramps and then exits out the front. Kind of just another exercise in like my Tolkien mania that triggered this year for some weird reason. I thought the movies were kind of cool when they came out, but kind of since then I've watched like all the extended cuts, maybe 4 times a piece, read all the books, watched the old cartoons, reading the Silmarillion, which is rough, if anyone's into that. But yeah, it turned out super cool. This is a wood I've never used before. I think I'm pronouncing it right. I think it's Wenge, or Wenge, W-E-N-G-E. But neat wood. See if I can get a good shot of it for you. It's kind of got a neat kind of black and brown marbleizing in there. The laser work was not done by myself. I'm still quite primitive. John Dell was gracious enough to do that up for me when I sent a design out to him that I poached from the Google image search. And then other than that, the kind of enameled pin that's got the dark speech on it from Lord of the Rings as well. I guess the only thing that I didn't quite work out, because I kind of got into using some metal dice just because they look so slick, is I put leather that I had sitting at the house on every surface inside the tower that the dice could come in contact with, so it didn't destroy the wood or the dice. Like the pyramid-shaped dice, which is 4-sided, the friction's too much. Even though the ramps are steep, it'll still just sit on it every once in a while. So, kind of sorting that out. Maybe just don't use metal dice for these kind of apparatuses. But turned out super cool. Have any questions at all? Hey. Suggestion. Yes. I hate the color of dice, the pyramid, and the solution is to get a tumbler type, meaning Like a barrel. rectangle? Yeah, I've got one like that. Yeah, that came through a little bit quicker. But like I try to have this is maybe a little extra too, but I have dice, a tower for every character, kind of like in a library form. So yeah, the ones that I intended to use on this were 3 out of 5 times it comes out. But I think maybe like a softer plastic, like 3M decal might be a little bit better, because I was using like deer leather, which, like you can see when I bring it out, but it's thin, but I think it still has enough like almost knurling to it naturally that it'll catch like some of the really sharp dice. But yeah, that's a good idea though. Yeah, I'm into that. That's a good plan. Anyone else? Oh, yes, sir. Oh yeah. So yeah, like that is kind of. Yeah. So yeah, like just a little bit of some like brake rotors from a bike. I meant to put a little bit more in like underneath the kind of cone at the top, but the whole thing already was probably 35% larger than I meant it to be already, because this was gonna be like, oh, if I go to like one of those little like one shots at a bar, I can bring this, but then like it seems kind of like silly just to be like pretty new to D&D and then just slam this on the counter and be like and just intimidate everybody else, So like. But I think there was one more, maybe? Yes, sir. That's a thought. Yeah, maybe I thought about like if I could try to find, like put like a polyurethane or something a little bit on it to where it wouldn't like abuse the dice, but it would speed it up. Yeah, that was like the only thing I could kind of think of without having to like try and get inside there and like just rip off the stuff that I put in, because I like to keep it on there just so I can do that. But that might be the way to do it. Yeah, put something on there to kind of like make it a little bit more slippery, but not like to a point where it's going to damage anything still, like the cool finishes that are on some of the dice. So, cool. Thank you so much.
Your phone, sir? So I don't know if y'all are picking up on this, but what I think I'm learning this evening is it's actually possible to task John Dale with certain aspects of your projects. Next up, we've got Bob, who has brought a lock miter joint project to show off.
Hello. Can you hear me? John Dale didn't help me with this project.
Did you ask him though?
No. The next time I'm going to ask him.
It's worth it.
All right. So, what's a lock miter? Well, it's a special type of joint. Actually, I should show you that first. Special type of woodworking joint. What do we see here? It's this is like a 90-degree type joint, but instead of being a flat miter, if you know what a miter is, it's a 45-degree angle essentially. Instead of being a flat 45-degree angle, we have these, I don't know, can I show it this way? We have this kind of profile here and this profile here, and they go together like that to make a really solid, gluable joint. Why would you need something like that? Well, because my wife said, I want a box around my, where's your zoom? Plus. I want a box around my stupid concrete fireplace mantle, she says. And since my 45th wedding anniversary is coming up next month, I said I'll get right on that. Let's see. So I built a box with lock miters because I had these lock miter bits. I'm going to have to find my picture here. Lock miter bit looks like this, and I brought my set of lock miters. I've got 3. They come in different sizes, and the different sizes are suitable for different thicknesses of wood. Got a little tiny one for quarter to half-inch wood, a big mohonking one for 3/4 to 1 inch, and then a medium size for 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch wood. And these are my little calibration blocks. So you can set the height. You have to, when you set these things up in a router, like our router. I used our router that we have here because it's a very nice router table. You have to get the height just to be perfectly half of the thickness of your wood. Then you have to move the fence over to be perfectly half the thickness of the wood. so that when you run it through, both sides come out even and they make a nice miter joint. Setting these things up is a little fun and a little tricky, but if you do it, you can get a perfect miter joint like that. And when you get one, you want to save it so you can use it to set it up next time. So that's what I did. And this is how the joint comes out. Can y'all see that pretty well? So it comes out like that. And these edges right down here, they're so sharp that I cut myself on them 3 times. I didn't learn the first time. I should have put gloves on. So this is the front face of the box. And I'm bleeding. It hurts. But anyway, so I made this box, and then I had to sculpt out. It's kind of hard to see. There you go. I had to sculpt out around the stones in my fake stone fireplace, and I just had, this is one side. I had to do the other side. And where's Russell's not here today because he hadn't been asking everybody how long did that take. Because I was thinking, how long did it take me? I don't know. I spent months working on this because I bought rough sawn lumber, had to plane it, had to mill it, had to glue it together to make, because one piece wasn't wide enough. This is like 13.5 inches deep. It's only 6 inches tall. So, and then I didn't have enough wood, so I had to go buy another piece of wood, and it, kind of like Tom, just took me forever. And I finally got this box built, and I put it up, and my wife loved it. So I guess maybe another couple of years we'll make it. Lock miter joint. If you need one, I'll pass this around so you can look at what the joint product looks like. Any questions?
What'd you finish it with?
I finished it with Osmo X Poly, or Osmo Poly X. I think they call it a hard wax oil. And I've just put like 2 coats on it so far, but I need at least one more coat. So I like the Poly X. It goes on easy. It's hard to mess it up, although I tried. I almost did it. But you have another question?
Yeah. How'd you sort out like how to relief cut so it fit against the stone? Did you just kind of guesstimate, or are you like all sorts of fun little like depth gauges or something?
That's a good question, and one of the most complex parts of the project, actually. I started off with a straight piece of wood and a compass, and I tried to follow the edge of the stone and scribe on my wood or mark on my wood. Well, that didn't work because this stone is like 3D, so it's going in and out, and then there'd be maybe a piece above that's longer than the piece below, and I can't get my compass in tight. So it was a real problem. And I made a couple of mistakes. I had to glue pieces back in and then recut. So that part alone took me probably 20 hours just to scribe and get it to match up pretty good. I want to talk with Toby because Toby's got laser scanners. And now that my wife posted my product, I got a couple of neighbors going, "Hey, can you build me one?" I said, "Well, not unless Toby helps me scan this thing with the laser so I don't spend 20 hours trying to scribe the wood to the stone." All right, any other questions? Thank you very much.
Very cool joinery. I've been thinking about a very similar project, and it was heartbreaking to hear you say 2 months. I may rethink that. John Dale. Next up, we've got Arya, who has brought a tent to share.
Okay, you speak into the microphone. Okay, so this is Aria, and you have what here, Aria?
A tent.
A tent. Okay, what did we make the tent out of, Aria?
Fabric, popsicle sticks, And tape.
Tape, okay. What other kind of materials are in here? How did we glue, actually, I just revealed the answer. How did we get the popsicle sticks to stick onto the fabric?
Hot glue.
Hot glue, okay. Where did we make this?
At the museum.
Say it in the microphone.
The museum.
At the museum, the kids' museum called the Muse. So we made that there. What is this tent for?
I
Just
don't know.
anything?
Yeah.
Yeah, anything? Okay. Did we learn any lessons with this tent?
Never put your finger near a hot glue gun.
That's right. Very good lesson. Okay. Any questions? Yes. You.
Yes, does the cat have a name?
Does the cat have a name?
No.
No. Good question. Okay. Yes, in the back.
How many times did you burn yourself?
Once.
One time is all it takes to learn to be careful around a hot glue gun. Yeah. Yes, smarter than that. Any other questions? Yes.
How long, since Russ is not here, how long did it take?
How long did it take?
An hour.
About an hour. Yeah. Yeah, a couple different times we had to cut it because it was too long, right? We had the wrong scissors at one point. So the right tools for the right job. Yep. Any other questions? Cool. All right, thank you.
Okay, I think you are a natural born hot gluer because I have burned myself dozens of times. Also, my cat needs a tent, so I need to talk to you later. Next up is Eric, who has brought an engagement ring to share.
Hey, my name's Eric. So I didn't really even know that this place was a thing until about a couple of weeks ago or so. But yeah, so Tracy convinced me to go ahead and present something. So had my girlfriend for a few years now and kind of got to that time. And I think I have a little bit of that engineer arrogance of, oh yeah, I can do that. So instead of just going out and buying a ring, I decided to just do it all myself. So forgive me again, I just put this together just sitting here. But let's see. Here's the zoom. So I did my design just in Fusion 360. So here's the render. And then I was able to use an SLA 3D printer to print it out and kind of go through some revisions. So this was actually really good because I was able to get just like a cheap cubic zirconia stone and kind of put it in there and actually see how it fit. And so some of the first revisions I noticed that, I mean, even in plastic, you could tell that it wasn't really that secure. So if you look at this, let's see, is there a... So the first revision actually did not have these cathedral arches or this ring going around the side. So I noticed that it wasn't super secure, added those features, and I mean, you could just immediately tell that it was just so much more secure. So the next step, I've got my print. Now how do I turn this into a real thing? So I was able to buy some casting grains, buy all the equipment. I got a vacuum casting setup, a burnout furnace, got the 3D printer for all of this, used castable resin to actually print it. So I don't have a picture of this in here. But so basically you're doing an investment casting. So what you do is you use the SLA printer to print everything in it's called a castable resin, but basically it's a resin that is designed to burn out really cleanly. So you take basically a plastic ring, you put it in a cask, and you pour in a plaster-based material. So then you're able to stick that in an oven that gets really, really hot, and it burns out all of the traces of that plastic. So that leaves you with a hollow mold that then you're able to then pour in the molten metal, and you can draw a vacuum on the backside so it fills in all of those details. So I did my first tests in silver to kind of get an idea of what I was doing. If I were smarter, I probably would have done that in just bronze, but silver's what I did. So there were some mistakes, but kind of figure things out. So here's just one of the stills from the casting, one of the early silver casting tests. And here's one of the successful silver casts out of it. So I was actually able to give this little heart ring to her sister. So now here we see some of the earlier revisions. You can see at the top without those other kind of cathedral arches and the gallery rail. And then at the bottom, you see after I got through cutting out all of the sprues and getting it all really polished up nicely. So then the next thing is setting a diamond. Well, you got to kind of figure that out. So I didn't want to just go in blind. So watched a bunch of YouTube videos, tried to figure it out. But I was able to do it all myself. So the setting and everything. But again, to kind of make sure I'm doing things right, I made sure to set some different things just to get a feel for it and just make sure I'm doing it right. So I did some, just started out with some like really cheap paradots and then moved on to these tiny little kind of diamond earrings to kind of get a feel for it. And I mean, it was kind of cool kind of doing it because like you see that, oh, it's not rocket science. I can actually maybe do this. So she did say yes. So this past Saturday, I did the thing. And yeah. So, yeah, sure. There was no way to hide this from her. Like, there was no way. Like, I took over like half of one of the rooms in the house. I actually made her, this might have been kind of mean, I had her hold the flashlight while I was setting the stone. Let her try it on to make sure it fit, and then took it away. But from there, no, I still was able to surprise her because I picked a weekend where her family was out of town at the beach. Her sister was in Maryland, so it couldn't be that weekend. So it all still worked out really nicely.
What was your skill level at doing this prior to buying all the equipment and going down?
Yeah, so for like casting and jewelry stuff, I guess I would say 0. But I mean, I'm really experienced with 3D printing and that kind of thing. So I knew it could be done, and I knew there was a way to do it.
When you set the diamond, since you got a little bracket keeping them in, how do you like pop the diamond without bending them? Or did you bend
Yeah, I had to bend them. So let me pull this back up. So yeah, it worked out really nicely actually because I knew the stone size because I had it. It was my mom's old diamond. So I was actually able to design everything specifically to fit this specific stone. So like I didn't even have to like trim the prongs or anything, but yeah, it was already designed where it needed to be, and I just had to bend them out and then bend them back close and kind of bend it over the top to make sure everything was nice and secure.
What type, you said you started with silver, what type of metal did you end up with?
Yeah, it's 14 karat gold. Yeah.
Check those prongs regularly.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, thank you all.
That is a spectacular project. Although I'm perhaps most impressed with your confidence in your relationship. Very nervy. Impressive. Friends, I have some announcements to share with you this evening. We do have a few classes coming up that I want to draw your attention to. Thursday of this week, which is the 17th, we have a pin turning class going on that is sold out, so I hope that you have tickets in your sweaty palms already if that's something you're into. Also this Thursday the 17th, this Thursday evening, we are doing new member onboarding here in this room. If you are currently on the path to membership at Knox Makers, or if you are considering becoming a member, I would encourage you to come to new member onboarding. Learn more about the organization, learn a little bit what it's like to join as a member, what it's like to be here as a member. New member onboarding is required before you can become a full member. So whether you are on track or considering it, please come hang out with us this Thursday evening. This Saturday, we have an amazingly full day. Woodworking 101 is happening at 10 a.m. And then we also have at 10 a.m. a Moonraker class, if you have not yet been authorized on the CO2 laser. Then there are 2 crossbow classes, one at 2 p.m. and one at 3:30. So if you would like to make enamel pins, then you should go to one of those classes probably. Also happening on Saturday from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. is the Stitch and Bit Social in the Fiber Arts area. So lots of activity on Saturday, many things to get involved with. And then this Sunday, which is the 20th at 4 p.m., we have our monthly board meeting. So we will be posting a link to that in the internal chat as usual if you would like to observe the board meeting. Finally, let me remind you that next Tuesday, after the show and share program, we are having a fire extinguisher training. So if you have not yet set off fire extinguishers, I question you why not, and I encourage you to come Tuesday and rectify that lapse in your life. Furthermore, I will remind you, having consumed a tremendous amount of food, there still remains yet food in hospitality. Please don't leave the food in hospitality. Fill your pockets and your pocketbooks. Please take food home with you and shove it into your mouth, and don't leave it in the workshop. Please help us to make sure that all gets tidied up before we leave tonight so that we do not feed the ginormous and terrifying rats. Also, let me announce with pleasure that our new hospitality head has added a root beer float feature. So if you're miserably hot, as am I, for only $1.25, you can obtain both root beer and suitable ice cream and create your own float. Let me also point out the loathsome tables in the back of this room, the rather large wooden heavy things in the back. Those have now been replaced with classy new plastic tables. If you would like to have those tables for some other organization, if you can use them at home, if you're a violent person and enjoy destroying things, please take them away. Take them to the landfill, take them to Goodwill. Please make them go away. I'm tired of looking at them. Finally, let me just encourage you, if tonight is your first night at Knox Makers, please be sure that you get a tour. If you haven't already been around the workshop, find somebody wearing a badge, find somebody who looks kind of like they belong here, they know what they're doing, ask them for a tour, see all the wonders of the workshop, get all your questions answered. Thank you all for being with us tonight and for bringing in your wonderful projects. Let's go out and make weird things together.